don't know.
Yeah, please do.
Oh. Good evening, everyone. Sorry for the delay. I'd like to call the Smithfield Town Council meeting to order Tuesday, January 23rd, 2024. There were no votes taken in executive session. There was? Oh, you recused. I apologize.
Mr. President, a vote was taken in executive session. The vote was to withdraw from litigation. Case number PC-2019-10870, Town of Smithfield versus State of Rhode Island. The vote was for the Town of Smithfield to withdraw from the case.
Thank you. So we don't vote again? Good, okay, all righty. I'd like to have a prayer. Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Amen.
Amen.
Salute to the flag, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Emergency evacuation and health notification.
Thank you, Council President. There's 2 main exits from the Town Council chambers. To the left of the stage, up the stairs will take you out the back of the building. Out the back of the council chambers to the right will take you out the front of the building. Just past it on the right is a men's facility. Up the stairs to the left is the ladies' facility. Please do not use the elevator in time of emergency.
Thank you. Presentations, we have one tonight. 2. This is a good Samaritan. John, would you like to?
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the Town Council, and the Smithfield residents. I put this on the agenda today because I was involved with the Christmas parade, and I wanted to give Mr. Winfield, former representative, a citation, because sitting in those meetings and how it was intricacy and how individually it was hard to get this thing done. And there was a lot of moving parts. And when we actually did it that day, I think we all had a great time. The Smithfield residents had a great time. It was the biggest crowd I've ever seen in the plaza. And so, Tom, will you come up?
Perfect night. My name is Chris Kringle. I live in Greenville, Rhode Island. I gotta tell you.
Thank you for coming, Mr. Claus. I'm sorry Mrs. Claus couldn't make it
Name and
tonight.
address.
But Tom, this is a certificate of recognition for the Town Council and the Town of Smithfield and its residents, the Thomas J. Winfield, for doing this Smithfield holiday parade, all lit up parade. So on behalf of the town, Tom, I want to give you the citation because I know how hard you worked. I was part of the committee, and it's very difficult when you have that many things to put together and that many phone calls that you have to make. I think you deserve a lot of credit.
Yeah, and I appreciate it, but it is a team effort. And part of the team is here. They're going to get an award tonight. The EMA people come and help out. And everybody does a little bit. And I tell everybody that Hallmark movies you see during the month of December, we do that here in Smithfield for one afternoon. And hopefully we take some of that Christmas magic and we extend it off into the Christmas season. And the official title is the Smithfield's All Lit Up Christmas Parade. That, I know it's a little bit long, but that's our official title, and we're going to stick with that.
Great. Well, thank you very
But,
much.
and I do appreciate that, but I do come bearing gifts as well.
As long as
Because,
they're less than $25.
yes, they are. I guarantee you that. I know the rules.
Tom, I want you to go back to the podium because Senator DeCoyan has a presentation.
You know, the last time he did this, and I truly mean it when he does this, and anytime I do this, I was used to giving these and not accepting these, and, and I do appreciate that. Thank you, David.
Thank you, Rep, and thank you to the honorable members of the town council for affording me the opportunity to make this presentation. I too are a member of the committee. And Tom, I want to thank you for asking me to join that committee because it's really a labor of love. And I know that you bleed green and gold. So on behalf of the Rhode Island Senate, to the Honorable Thomas J. Winfield, in recognition of the honor bestowed upon you by the Smithfield Town Council as a January 2024 Smithfield Samaritan for your dedication to the all-lit-up Christmas parade, you are a true sentinel. Well, congratulations, Rep.
Well, I think it would be appropriate to have a photo with everybody with their hats on. If you would indulge me, I would appreciate that. And I do appreciate the councils, they're very, very supportive of us, not only this council, the past councils. And so hopefully the future councils will come and join us. I know this council, I know everybody tries to come and they've been at least once. And I appreciate your attendance, but I'd really love to have you come. And if there's a way that you think we can get you more involved, please let us know. We'd be happy to put you to work.
Thank you.
Is it comfortable?
Oh, it's so funny. That's cute.
Next up, we have another certificate of recognition.
Thank you, Mr. President. Over this past couple of weekends, I was able to spend some time with the EMA crew in all the flooding that we had here in Smithfield, and what a fantastic job that they did. And I went down to spend some time down in the basement of the police station in the EMA headquarters. And those individuals, they don't get paid. They don't get paid, all donation, their time, their effort, and they help a lot of people. And with that, I want to recognize Todd Maney, the head of EMA, and Todd Maney's crew.
Councilman, thank you very, very much, and thank you to the council for all the support to emergency management over the years. We truly appreciate it. I don't want to call them out individually, but the only thing I'm going to say is this. When I was appointed EMA director about 19 years ago, believe it or not, I was given a big piece of advice, and that important advice was surround yourself with people who are much smarter than you. And these are the people who are much smarter than me and make emergency management run. And for that, I truly am most grateful for that. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you to my team who does an awesome job, and thank you for the support that you give to us at Emergency Management. Thank you.
Todd?
Okay.
And I have Stephen and Christine Sarpiglia. Thank you. Mike Lepore. Melissa And Paul. Thank you.
All right, on to the fun stuff, minutes. Move that the minutes of the January 9th, 2024 executive session meeting held pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws, Section 42-46-5A1, personnel to interview Samantha Kerwin, Donald Clark II, and Stephen Bailey for possible appointment or reappointment to a town board or commission be approved as recorded and sealed.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
I abstain.
Abstain.
Item B, move that the minutes of the January 9th, 2024 open session meeting be approved as recorded. So moved.
Second.
Mr. President, I have an amendment to that one. On page 10, I have a correction. Under D, it says a motion was made by member Tassoni, seconded by member Toppy, that the council schedule a public hearing on February 20th to consider and act upon Code of Ordinance amendments to streets and sidewalks, to add vehicle impact protection devices, and that item was tabled because we wanted to do more work on the language of the ordinance. It was not rescheduled.
Okay. We all set with that? Okay. So all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Abstain.
Thank you. Item 7, consider, discuss, and act upon the following possible appointments and reappointments. Item A, Budget and Financial Review Board reappointment with a term expiring in January of 2027.
Mr. President, I move that the Smithfield Town Council reappoint Samantha Kerwin to the Budget and Financial Review Board for a term expiring in January of 2029. I think our packet erroneously said 27, but these are 5-year terms.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Item B, Budget and Financial Review Board appointment with a term expiring in January of 2025, is that correct?
Mr. President, I move that the Smithfield Town Council appoint Stephen M. Bailey to the Budget and Financial Review Board for a term expiring in January of 2025.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Item C, Board of Assessment Review appointment with a term expiring in December of 2026.
Mr. President, I move that the Smithfield Town Council appoint Donald L. Clark II to the Board of Assessment Review for a term expiring in December of 2026.
Second.
Any discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Item D, Juvenile Hearing Board appointment with a term expiring in September of 2024.
Mr. President, I move that the Smithfield Town Council appoint Dina Mills to the Johnston Smithfield Juvenile Hearing Board for a term expiring in September of 2024.
Seconded.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Item E, Board of Canvassers appointment with a term expiring in March of 2024.
Mr. President, I move that the Smithfield Town Council ratify your appointment of Trish Williams as second alternate to the Board of Canvassers for a term expiring in March of 2024.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
And item F, Historic Preservation Commission appointment. We're gonna,
I move to table that appointment to our next meeting.
Second.
all those in favor on that?
Aye.
Public hearings. This is a schedule a public hearing on March 5th, 2024 for the submission of the Town of Smithfield's 2023 annual RIPDES Stormwater Report to RIDEM.
Hi, good evening, Council. Kevin Clary, Town Engineer. This is a public hearing request to schedule a public hearing for March 5th. In the event we receive public comments on our draft report, which will be available for public viewing mid-February, around the 18th or so, 16th, somewhere, whatever that Friday is. We're working on that report right now in its draft form, and just some of the real brief highlights of the program. One that I'd really like to just mention to the council, we had a lot of public involvement in the stormwater program this last year with FAF, which was a business over on Lark Industrial, along with a number of Boy Scouts and Eagle Scouts. They did stormwater placard stencil identification tags on a lot of the drains that exist on the state highways with the state's permission to do so. And the town supported that effort as well. So that was a win for the community as far as public education and outreach and participation. Obviously, stormwater is a big discussion lately with all the storms. So it's imperative that this program keeps operating in its best to its ability. And at this time, I'd like to ask the council to schedule a public hearing on the matter.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, council.
Thank you. Conduct a show cause hearing to consider, discuss, and act upon the possible suspension, revocation, or other sanction regarding the listed liquor license due to non-compliance or non-renewal with the conditions of renewal. I'm going to name the places, and then we can go in order. All right. Great. So there's Cedar Spill, Frank and John from Italy on the Water, Copperfield's Bar and Grill, Crudo, Don El Diablo, Taquera y Tequila, Cavallo Wine Bar and Tuscan Grill, and Val's English Tea and Pie Shop. I declare this, what's that?
We're going to do one by one.
Yeah, I declare this public hearing open. If we have anyone from Cedar Spill that would like to come up first, and then we'll just go down the list. Thank you.
Good evening, council members. Stephen Kiley, pond owner of Cedar Spill. At this time, we have everything up to date with fees and taxes with the state. It's under processing. We're really hoping to have it done by now, but that's where we stand in the portal.
How do we stand?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I called my GM and she said the same thing.
How long does it take usually?
It's, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
How often they update it or we check it
yeah,
periodically throughout the day, and we haven't had anything since the beginning of January.
yeah, and we were subpoenaed 2 weeks ago and we did it. So we're still waiting since then. And we did it the following day.
Have you called the state?
Yeah.
Yeah, what did they say?
Processing. Just waiting for it to be reviewed.
Oh, okay.
How long ago did you apply?
It was 2 weeks ago. We put it in.
Is this your first time doing this?
Yes.
I think if they applied and considering they're new and it's their first time, I would, actually, I probably can't, right? So,
Table this one to the next meeting.
okay.
Correct.
On each.
Okay. That's good for now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Frank and John from Italy on the Water. Anyone from the public? What's that? Yeah.
They have, until their obligation, they began intervals, and they will be on the next agenda for an actual renewal.
Excellent. Copperfield's Bar and Grill.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Kareem Meneby, president of Copperfields. We are completely done. We haven't opened yet. So we usually, the last thing we do is inspections. And the health department is scheduled for Thursday at 11 a.m.
Okay.
So
So we could do contingent upon past inspections and all that.
Table.
Be okay.
Yeah, we wouldn't be able to open without it,
Yeah,
and we wouldn't be able to get the licenses here without it. It's always contingent on the health department.
He has the appointment, so I'm fine with that. Tabling it.
it's exciting.
Finally, a year
Yeah.
later.
Yeah. All right.
That's it.
We're good? Next up,
Thank you.
Crudo?
I got a question about this one.
Yeah.
After you go, please, I insist.
Oh, thank you. So Pluto actually had their inspection. I have like a rough report. They have some minor things that they need to take care of. However, I decided to accept it because they meet the requirements to open. He's not ready. Based on what he told me, it wouldn't be till February.
Okay.
So,
So we'll kick the can to February.
Yeah, that was in line with my question about, because Crudo has not opened yet technically. I was wondering when, if the owner had a date for opening, and then, is there any other, do they have to appear before us at any other point before they open again, or is all their licensing all
no,
set?
remember, we just got their license last year.
Okay.
We approved their new one, so this is their first time.
Oh, so they still need to do the safety and all that, all those
Now,
inspections?
the outstanding item was their health
Okay.
inspection.
And when was that expected?
They've already done it. I have a
Oh.
rough draft of it, and there's some minor things they need to take care of.
Okay.
But they meet the minimum requirements, so they could open.
Okay. Next is Don El Diablo. I'm not saying the rest. I can't.
It's Don El Diablo. You can say El
Okay.
Taco Loco. It's okay.
Thank you.
So what we're just waiting for is just a certificate of good standing. We already processed everything. I have copies of everything. I spoke with one of our revenue.
sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, and state your name and address, because it's.
My name
Thank you.
is Jenny Melendez, and this is El Taco Loco, and we are located at 55 Douglas Pike.
Thank you very much.
So that's what we're just waiting for. At 3:30 this afternoon, I had called our representative at the state, Miles. She's been a blessing. She's been really great for us. So we just needed to just give her a copy of the returns for, I believe, November and December, which we already have, and it's just pending right now at this point.
How long ago did you submit for the certificate of good standing? Just out of curiosity.
So I have a copy of it, and it was January 2nd.
So it's almost 2 weeks as well for for them. This is the second person for 2 weeks. I'm curious as to why the certificates of good standing are being held up at the state level for that longer. I applied for a passport and I already got that quicker than the
Well,
certificate.
just keep in mind one thing. The packets from the state are sent out in July or August of each year. There's ample time for that paperwork to be processed.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
Then the licenses expire in December.
Okay.
Well, if we're gonna be fair, they're new as well. You guys just opened in 22, right?
Yes.
Yes, I remember that meeting, so, yeah, I would be fine with tabling this to the next meeting.
Thank you.
Considering it's your first.
Thank you.
And then finally, we have Val's English Tea and Pie Shop.
Could you Tavolo?
Well, oh, I'm sorry. Tavalla Wine Bar and Tuscan Grill.
So he is in Chicago. Obviously, he can't be here this evening. He fulfilled his obligation on the state end allegedly, but there has been no clearance.
And I understand he is a repeat offender, correct?
Yes,
How many times?
Multiple.
yes.
Mhm.
I can give you an exact number tomorrow, but you're looking at, 3, 4 times,
The building's been,
a little bit more.
the building's been there for how long?
Oh, quite some
What,
time.
meaning him, he being in the
Yes,
building?
quite some time.
Mhm. This is tough because there's extenuating circumstances, but yeah, he's a repeat offender, so I'm really stuck with this one. So that's where I stand.
All right, we can discuss that when the public hearing's closed. Finally, is Val's English Tea and Pie Shop. Anybody there from, no? She's a new business as well, right?
Years.
Or is it?
3 years.
This is her second time.
Is it repeat?
This will be the second. It is a matter of, there's still a certificate of good standing. I had not heard back.
At all.
Do you know when she submitted the application for the
I do
certificate of
not, I
good
know
standing?
that they are missing something on the state's end. They don't give us a lot of information. And again, allegedly that was submitted, or they were working on submitting it.
Yeah, sure.
So when did you say when that they actually received the packet from the tax division of taxation that they're supposed to complete this?
They start sending them out about the same time we do. We sent them in July, I think sometimes they're like late July, early August, but again,
Okay. So when we're talking about them submitting recently, they had all that time that they could have submitted those packets.
we try to get them back for like October 1st here in the clerk's office, so we have time to process it, get an ad ready, et cetera, et cetera.
How many times have you reached out to her to see if she would attend this evening?
Not me personally.
Or your
but,
office?
More than once, phone, email.
And no response
served with
in
a
the
summons.
summons, correct?
Served with a
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that she in the state? She's here?
Yeah, she's contacted our office like maybe once or twice that I personally am aware of.
And this is why we changed the ordinance for fines. So, I mean, why don't we make it across the board next meeting, then we can hand out the fines. Is that fair? So everybody else is going to the next meeting, so we might as well put her on the next meeting. And then we drop the hammer.
We haven't talked
Let's,
about
let's
that.
close the public hearing if we're gonna have a discussion. What do you think? What do you know?
Paul Santucci, 10 Appletown Road. I just am curious if some of these businesses are, specifically someone who is serving alcohol, if they are operating without a license, what is the town's liability if something happens on the premises? Especially for someone who's a repeat offender, you know, this has happened multiple times and they've had ample opportunity. I mean, what is the exposure to the town if someone, God forbid, if something happens?
Doesn't the license automatically continue until it's, until we act upon it to either suspend it or approve it, continue it?
The license expires.
They
Right,
expire until each year.
right, they expire, but are they extended at all if we don't act on them? What happens if we don't act on them, what is the status of the license?
The license is expired.
So they shouldn't be serving
I will
alcohol
tell-
right now.
Well, I will tell you this, we've had a few instances in North Providence where the Division of Taxation has reached out on expired licenses and said, you know, what's the status of all of these licenses? How are you going to enforce the fact that they haven't complied with, you know, the requirements that the Division of Taxation requires, and are you gonna shut them down?
What did they do in North Providence? They shut them down?
No, they didn't. Obviously, they were in the process of getting their certificate of good standing, and eventually they cured their, because that was the sole item that the clerk's office was waiting for. And within 2 weeks, they had it, so they continued to operate.
Well, to get to Mr. Santucci's point,
He's right.
Yeah, I mean, if let's say somebody has too much to drink and they, get in a vehicle and they injure somebody, do we have any liability because they were serving alcohol without our license and we keep doing this, giving them second and third chances when in effect their license is actually expired?
The town will get dragged into whatever litigation comes down the pike over here.
What if we tabled it with the condition,
you already did.
I haven't closed it
what
yet.
if we tabled it with the condition that, and of course, this would be on the honor
Sorry,
system.
Rachel, I'm just gonna.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. Public hearing is closed. Now you,
Thank you, Mike.
discussion?
So if we were to table it with the condition that they are not serving alcohol during these 2 weeks, which is of course on the honor system, Otherwise,
You can do that.
yeah, I mean, I think that would be a good idea, of course, you know.
Well, wouldn't that be the same as suspending the license until we act upon it again?
No, they can serve food, they can serve food.
So, but the only thing I would say with that, not just on the honor system, that all the ones that serve alcohol, that we send a letter to them immediately, and we notify the police department, check or at it periodically, and if they are not fulfilling, not serving, that we will shut them down.
Yeah, I think that's fair, and let them know that this is the only time that we would make this exception, of course. I mean, I say that, but then, of course, there's extenuating circumstances that happen in life, but, you know, so I don't know if.
Councilwoman, in step with that, with that thought, would we have any sort of repercussions for people who violated that honor system, other than the fact that we wouldn't trust them again? But I mean, if some, like during this 2-week period, if somebody, if they're still serving, saying they're not, is.
You can close them down.
Close them down.
Close them down.
Like if they get caught, so to speak, then yeah, we would just
That would be.
suspend the license.
Absolutely.
That's already, yeah, revoke it,
It's already
yeah.
expired too.
So I would make them, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Councilwoman.
one last thing,
Sure.
because Councilman Tassoni brought this up. I'm all in favor of the majority of these licenses. I think that the Tavolo license needs to be thought about again, though, before we move it over, just kick it down to the next meeting, because I don't think that's going to make a difference for this business. Should we take action on that now, instead of kicking it to next month and then?
No,
All of them.
I would put them, myself, I would put them all in the same bucket.
Okay.
No liquor,
Yeah, okay.
no liquor, until you fulfill your obligation here.
So I would make a motion to table, so Cedar Spill, all these items, which include Cedar Spill, and Frank and John's all set, Copperfields, Crudo, Don El Diablo, Tavolo, and Val's English Tea and Pie Shop, to the next meeting, with the condition that they are not serving alcohol during these 2 weeks, and that the town will send them a letter immediately advising them of that, and that if they were to be visited serving alcohol, then we would immediately revoke the license.
Second.
Can I ask one question? Are we expecting? The solicitor, I have a question, I'm sorry. I just have a question.
Mike was asking me a question.
Yeah, I'll just ask it out loud. What if they meet the conditions during the 2-week period?
So could that be part of the motion, that if they are in compliance and it's just waiting for the council meeting, that they would be allowed to serve again?
And so I would add to that, yes, if they do meet the requirements by the next council meeting, then we will, you know, grant the license again.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Item C, conduct a show cause hearing to consider, discuss, and act upon the possible suspension, revocation, or other sanction regarding the listed victualling only license due to non-renewal or non-compliance with the conditions of renewal. This is for the Smithfield Fitness. Declare this public hearing open.
They fulfilled all of the requirements, came in application.
Okay.
So they will be on for, you know,
Public hearing's closed. That's good. No need to vote? Okay. Item 9, licenses. Consider, discuss, and act upon approving a new victualling only license for Best Life Nutrition, DBA The Vibe Nutrition, 285 George Washington Highway, number 4, as applied, subject to compliance with all state regulations and local ordinances.
Motion to approve.
Seconded.
The Vibe Nutrition.
Any discussion on that?
Only license.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Item B, consider, discuss, and act upon approving a new private detective license for Anthony Verdi, 75 Pleasant View Avenue, Smithfield, Rhode Island, 02828, for his business Confidential Surveillance and Investigations LLC, as applied, subject to compliance with all state regulations.
So moved.
Seconded.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Item C, consider, discuss, and act upon approving the renewal of 3 mobile food truck licenses as listed, as applied, subject to compliance with all state regulations and local ordinances. This is for Team Got a Cube, Palmonte, and Rhode Island Kona.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Yes, just one item I'd like to ask, because I see one of the mobile food licenses on here. Someone that likes to operate on town property, have they also completed their peddler's license? Okay, thank you.
So that's something we have to address? Okay, thank you. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Old business, there is none. New business, consider, discuss, and act upon the acceptance of the audit report for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2023, prepared by Haig, Sahady and Company, PC.
So moved.
Seconded.
Discussion?
Yes, I just want to say that I personally cannot in good faith vote to accept this document because of the following reasons. For me, it's fairly complicated stuff. Number two, we did have just 3 days to read an over 200-page document, whether that was due to factors that the town was not in control of, which seems to be the case. I just don't feel comfortable voting in the affirmative for this item because it's a little over my head, so. But, we did just have a work session, and I think, they did a good explanation, but just my comfort level is just not there. So I'm just going to abstain.
Why did we get this so late before this meeting?
Yes, so the main issue, and I think we kind of briefly talked about it in the work session, was the delay from the actuaries providing the actuarial reports to the auditors to complete by the December 31st deadline. We were able to squeak in before the December 31st deadline. And we're completing that and doing the final draft of printing. That was as soon as I could get the printed copies from the auditors.
Now, is there a deadline for it to go to the state?
Yes, December 31st.
Oh, so we're over the
No,
deadline?
we had to submit to them before December 31st.
Okay.
This acceptance allows us to put it on the town's website, as well as provide to all the financial institutions, including the rating agencies, bond agencies, and banks.
Why could we not extend it 2 weeks, Randy? I know we already discussed, just so people know.
Right, well, one of the items as we discussed is because the audit was done through government accepted principles and GASB and all the others, that there's not actually anything that we can change, or else we'd be in violation of how it was reviewed by the auditors. So the acceptance would just allow us to release it to the public.
Do we have a deadline to accept it?
No.
No, okay. Thank you.
So there's no problem with moving it to 2 weeks, to 2 weeks?
I mean, it's really, to be honest with you, the delay as it is, even past December 31st, does not look good getting it out to the rating agencies. I even, have the concern with even up to this date. But because that's always been the practice of the acceptance of the council, it validifies our ability to provide it to others.
Yeah, so there could be a problem with the rating agencies?
Oh, without a doubt, because it looks like that we haven't completed our audit in time.
Okay.
But it is all public anyways, because it was submitted to the Auditor General. But it's been the practice that we get the acceptance of the council before we put it on the website and so forth.
We have a motion, right?
Yes, sir.
Do we have a second?
Seconded.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Nay? One abstain. Item B, consider, discuss, and act upon authorizing a request for proposals for lavatory renovations at the Smithfield Senior Center.
Thank you, Council President. I'll let Scarlett come up and present on this so I can save whatever's left of my voice. And if everyone hasn't had the pleasure of meeting Scarlett, she's our Senior Center and Human Services Director. And I suggest that you stop over, go try the soup, and sit down and get to know her a little bit better if you haven't.
Thank you. So this is a request for a proposal. We are looking to split up the lavatory renovations because we received a grant and we are pretty short with what we received so far for bids for the lavatory renovations. The goal is to install ADA bathroom stall so that we can become a heating and cooling station. And so we're looking to break up the proposal into 4 pieces.
And it's only, it just says one bathroom in here, right? That's all you're doing? Just the ladies?
Yeah, so we're just gonna install the ADA stall, and then we need to install like an exhaust fan, move the toilet over, make one of the sinks handicap accessible, tiles, partitions,
Okay.
salvage what we can.
Excellent.
When were the bathrooms, how old are they? Do you know, Scarlett? Did they tell you?
Since the inception, 95.
Oh, okay.
As old as me.
Oh my God. Way to make us look old,
Living
Sean,
proof.
thanks.
That's why we're replacing them, Sean.
Wow. And with the old out from there, right? Full pass. The old and with the new.
Second.
Thank you for everything you do.
Thank you very much. Any
Thank
more
you.
discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Item 12, public comment. If anyone wants to come up and speak, they're more than welcome.
Good evening, Council President, Paul Santucci, 10 Appletown Road. I have a copy of a letter from an assistant solicitor regarding an APRA that I filed on January 4th of 2024. I'll give this to the clerk in a few moments. And this was regarding I'll just read from a section of it. The documents here requested relate to private discussions between the town, private individuals, and others related to the exploration of possible commercial development of a portion of Deerfield Park. Those discussions are very preliminary and have not yet resulted in any official action taken or proposed by the town. Now, I actually did some homework, and a few things that I found that were not proper. And I'm going to give both of these items to the town clerk as well. One is dated April 25th, 2000. The other is dated November 8th, 2000. Those items are regarding an application by Richard Geldard, who was the town engineer at the time. And this was regarding a recreation agreement for Deerfield Park. So what wound up actually happening is let me just find my working copy. Sorry about that. So the April 25th, 2000 letter from Richard Tierney, senior planner from Rhode Island DEM, states this letter is in reference to the Deerfield Park reimbursement request from the town. I have enclosed a copy of the general provisions of the Rhode Island Open Space and Recreational Area bonds, along with financial documentation for recreational grants. Specifically, general provisions, Rhode Island Open Space and Recreational bonds. It terms the director as the director of DEM, and then part 2, it gives continuing assurances. It is acknowledged the intent of the parties hereto that the local will use monies granted under the act for recreational and open space purposes, and that the assistance granted under the agreement will result in an increase in the available land devoted to outdoor recreation or open space. Further, it goes down and says under Section A, the local agrees that the premises described in the agreement and the dated project boundary map made part of the agreement is being acquired or developed with funds under the act, acquisition or development, and that without approval from the director of DEM, it shall not be converted to other than public outdoor recreation or open space use, but shall be maintained in the public outdoor recreation or open space in perpetuity. The November 8th document is also from Richard Tierney to Richard Geldard, and it states that the recreation agreement for Deerfield Park project, along with the assurance of compliance form, it basically states the exact same thing. There's a recreational grant agreement, and there's a date on it between the town of Smithfield and the Rhode Island DEM, and specifically is locating the Deerfield Park property. And it basically says the exact same thing, and just for brevity purposes, talks about developing a 90-acre plus site of land to include soccer fields, football, soccer field, restroom facilities, picnic area, playground facilities, hiking trails, to perpetually use the premises only for recreational purposes as more clearly set forth in the rules and regulations, and not divert the premises to any other use or dispose of the premises without prior approval from the DEM director. So this is pretty clear and unambiguous language that this site that I was referring to at the beginning cannot be turned into an indoor soccer facility. You have no basis then including Deerfield Park in your open space inclusionary zone in the comprehensive plan, and therefore that soccer facility that was proposed cannot be used under those premises or under those circumstances. Additionally, the April 4th, 2023 Town Council meeting had a public hearing that bundled a number of ordinances together. It's actually a charter violation. And I have section C-2.13. Each one of those ordinances should have been taken up on their own merit. It should not have been one motion. In fact, I have a copy of the motion right here dated March 29th, 2023. That the Smithfield Town Council hereby adopts amendments to the zoning ordinance and zoning map. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak?
Good evening, Tom Hodgkins, 200 Farnham Pike. Last year during the budget process, I addressed the budget board and the town council about lawsuits and legal fees that had been incurred by the Greenville Library. At that point last year, the library had spent well over $100,000 of its own legal fees and then paid a judgment in excess of $60,000. I think a baseline expectation for taxpayers in this town is transparency and candor from town representatives. And I don't think that was reflective in the budget process last year or what's been going on since then with respect to the Greenville Library. The scope of these suits and the fees that had been incurred were not disclosed to the town and certainly not disclosed to the taxpayers. I obtained the amount of those fees with an APRA request, which the library charged me $42 for. So I guess that's where we are in Smithfield right now. If you want to find out where the taxpayer money goes, you have to pay for it. Notably, they also claim that it took them 2 hours to find the invoices. Kind of puzzling. I also requested during the budget process last year the library's audited financial statements, which they refused to provide to me until after the council had voted on the budget. At the budget workshop a couple days before, or a week before, so that the council approved the budget, representatives of the Greenville Library told the council that the lawsuits were over and that all legal fees had been paid. Earlier this month, the court entered a judgment for the Greenville Library to pay an additional $18,000 in legal fees. That amount does not include the fees that have been incurred by the library for their own lawyers since 2023. The over $100,000 that I had referenced earlier was only up until December of 2022. It's unclear to me why the library represented to the town and to the taxpayers during the budget process that the lawsuit was over and all fees had been paid, when clearly that was not the case. It's also unclear to me why during the budget process that statement went uncorrected during the budget process by town representatives when the statement was demonstrably inaccurate. I asked questions about the payment of the fees last year. The library told the council and the budget board that, well, they told them a couple things. One was that the fees have been paid from the reserve fund. I noted that in years of library minutes, there had been no votes
to withdraw from the reserve fund to pay for legal fees. An alternate explanation that was provided by the Greenville Library was that the legal fees have been paid for by gifts or contributions to the library. After looking at the audited financial statements, I found out that this could not be true. Gifts to the library in 2022 were $25,000. The legal fees that year were $41,000. In 2021, gifts to the library were $38,000. The legal fees were $47,000. So it's clear that the legal fees could not have been paid with gifts to the library. I want to address the audited financial statements that the library has had prepared by the same auditing firm that the town uses. It's my understanding that it's not the town's practice to obtain and review these audited financial statements during the budget process, and I think that's something that should change. Earlier tonight, during the workshop, I asked the town's auditor and the Greenville Library's auditor if unpaid outstanding judgments should be disclosed in an audit. The answer that you all heard tonight was yes. The library's fiscal year 2022 audit failed to report the unpaid judgment of $60,000. There was accruing interest at that point. It had been entered in September of 2021. It also failed to disclose the additional lawsuit filed against the library in February of 2022. These misrepresentations raise concerns about the reliability of the audit. They also raise concerns about what information was provided to the auditors by the library, and also what did the auditors do to confirm the accuracy of those statements. Open meeting violations. I recently learned that the library board met a number of times last year without posting public notice of their meetings. The board met without posting public notice of their meetings with the Secretary of State on June 22nd, 2023, September 28th, 2023, October 26th, 2023, November 16th, 2023, and December 21st, 2023. None of those meetings were posted on the Secretary of State's websites for public notice. That's 5 separate and independent violations for the meetings, and that's 5 separate and independent violations for the lack of posting meeting minutes, because none of the meeting minutes are posted on the Secretary of State's website. I would also note to the town council that it appears that the board or that the library stopped posting public notice of meetings in June of 2023, which is around the time that I started asking for the information about the legal fees and for the audited financial statements. One other issue that I'd like to bring to the council's attention is a conflict of interest policy. At the sound recommendation of the Charter Review Commission, the town recommended, and then the voters overwhelmingly approved, a conflict of interest policy. I think a conflict of interest policy is something that also any legitimate nonprofit should have. And certainly a nonprofit that administers $1 million of taxpayer money should have a conflict of interest policy. According to the library's federal tax filings, the library does not require its directors or key employees to disclose interests that could give rise to conflicts. It does not monitor or enforce any conflicts policy. I have no reason to think that conflicts may exist, but it's unacceptable that $1 million of taxpayer funds are spent without a conflict of interest policy in place. I bring these issues up so that the town can hopefully address its budget process and prevent this from happening again, but also look into what's going on at the library. I don't think the taxpayers should have to fund a bailout. I'm not suggesting that you defund or make drastic cuts to the library's budget, but the taxpayers are entitled to a transparent budget and to be able to rely on the statements from town representatives about how that money is spent. I'd also note to you that in looking at the budget this year, in the lawsuit that I referenced, the library provided some sworn testimony part of that testimony said that the library, this is their testimony, the library has the sole and exclusive authority to adopt and maintain its annual budget and finances. Neither the town of Smithfield nor any other public body has authority to alter or amend the library's budget. The library has no obligation to obtain approval regarding its budget from the town of Smithfield or any other public body. Now, I think that's just a slap in the face to taxpayers who give it $1 million a year, in addition to a capital improvement plan and also ARPA funds. So I hope the town will consider that in the budget this year. I think that if you start to look at this, I think it's going to be a messy issue. I expect that you're probably going to hear from some people that it's not something you need to look into or you should look into, but I think it is worth looking into. I think that either the council or the budget board should do that. I think that as a matter of jurisdiction, if you expect the budget board to look at this, I think you need to make a recommendation to them to look into this, because I don't think the jurisdiction of the budget board that they can do that on their own. So I think that would take action from the council. But thank you. I hope you consider this in the budget this year. Thank you.
Tom, I have a question. All the violations that you found are not posting on the Secretary of State's website, did you file a complaint?
I did not. I mean, and Councilman, I think it's an interesting issue. I didn't file a complaint because the outcome of the complaint is potentially that the Attorney General's office issues a fine against the library, and then the library comes back here, the library pays the fine, and then they come back here and they tell the council, we need more money next year because we had to pay fines. So it's basically like taking money out of my own pocket to report a violation. I mean, I certainly think that it's worth, you know, it's an undisputed violation, but why charge the taxpayers for it? You know, I hope that without charging the taxpayers, that the council can take some action to address it.
I can buy that, but also it would put them on notice that they need to do it. I mean, how many times now have they haven't done it since?
Well, they were doing it before, and then they just stopped. So I don't think there's a lack of knowledge on that.
Any fund from the town, obviously you have to make sure that they're compliant with what they need to comply with during the budget process.
No, I agree, but I didn't know why you didn't, if you find something, you should say something. And now the horse is already out of the barn. I mean, we can go for the next budget cycle and say, hey, you didn't do this, 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 and this.
You're right in the middle of the budget cycle now.
Yeah, well, I'm just raising a point. Thank you.
Thank you.
Paul Santucci, 10 Appletown Road. In 2017 or 2018, Dr. Ronald Makeley helped the town with a board that looked at the viability of making one town library. And there was a merger of Greenville Library and East Smithfield Library to create the Smithfield Public Library. And there would be one budget and one board, and it would eliminate, I think, a lot of these problems. You might be able to still have two separate operations, but when we looked at it originally, there were cost savings and there could be other savings. So I would encourage you in this budget cycle to look into that. Thank you.
I have another question. Paul, how come you guys didn't do that?
That's a great question. So we wound up actually with Greenville and East Smithfield, and they were adamant that they could not make those types of changes because they were on two completely different systems in terms of, their I don't know, I can't remember exactly what it was that they used to catalog and, books as they go in and out, et cetera. But there was, Dr. Makeley spearheaded that, as I recall. I mean, Town Manager Rossi might remember that. It might have been under Dennis. I cannot remember exactly.
It was a little earlier than that, but you're exactly correct. That was the result of the study for it. I think it was passed down to us at that point, but it was a little before that they reviewed it and completely agree that it should become one.
You guys looked at
I think there are two separate charters, but if the town is the funding mechanism, and you know, it just makes sense that you have to bring both boards to agreement and just say, this is the deal, this is how much money that we have to spend on these two libraries. And they can operate under separate roofs, but there's one budget and one board of directors, end of story.
This is, but to that point, it is an interesting conversation to have. I do not want to go down that road right now during public comment, though. So let's talk about this
Thank you.
never again, would be nice.
We could put it on the agenda to ask the Budget Board, Budget and Financial Review Board, to look into the feasibility of, you know, merging the two libraries into one library administration. I think it's very important, though, to keep the two separate facilities, one in Greenville and one in East Smithfield, because I think that both sides are relying on those facilities, and I think that works fine. I think it might be the administration part that we can save money on.
Motion to adjourn. Oh, sorry.
We open up the library conversation.
Hi, Marisa Ricciardi, 21 Lodgepole Lane. I'm in a butter to the parcel of land that's in question for the indoor soccer facility. My question to each of the council members this evening: have you received an inquiry, a proposal, or any communication regarding the development of an indoor soccer facility on that parcel of land? And I ask each of you, yes or no. If yes, what is your position on the development? If no, what is your position on the potential development? Thank you.
Man, with all due respect, it's public comment, not public Q&A. After the meeting, I will answer you directly with that question, but we're not doing that right now. So motion to adjourn.
How does the public hear the answer? How does the public hear the answer?
You
The
can ask us
perception,
outside
the
of the meeting.
perception is that you are being clandestine about it.
And you are being very misled, unfortunately, but we will
So
address that in an appropriate
clarify.
time.
Is this not an open hearing? I'm a
No.
taxpayer. It's not an open hearing.
No.
Okay, well, so
Public comment.
let me stop.
What was discussed was an executive session, so
So what information are the taxpayers entitled to? Why don't you educate me then? Is that something we can do here this evening? What information are the residents entitled to? What, I'm sorry, I'm not even sure what you mean by public comment. Comment, but no questions. I just want clarity so I know going forward. Okay, only comment, no questions at town council meetings. All right. Thank you.
Motion to adjourn?